I'm gonna show you another cool signature guitar by ESP. You know I love those. It's a cool ESP Eclipse that probably a lot of you haven't seen. It is a signature guitar for Gus G. What makes it so special is not only the fact that it's a signature guitar, it also has a couple of unique specs that make it way different than the regular ESP Eclipses and other signature models. I'm gonna explain how this guitar came to be and what exactly is it. I'm not sure I've played this correctly. I've messed it up somewhere. Let's see what the master has to say.
Hey there, this is Gus G, and today I'm gonna teach you how to play the title track of my solo album, I Am the Fire.
Oh, there are palm muted notes there, so that's why I was having a hard time muting the 6th string on this riff. So anyway, he plays it better than me obviously, especially the lead stuff. I cannot play it, so I'm just gonna show you.
Starts like this.
Wait, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's talk about the man first. He is Gus G, and he had the honor of playing with Arch Enemy and Ozzy Osbourne. His actual name is Kostas Karamitrodis, and he was born in my neighbor country of Greece. He left his home country at age 18 to go and study music in the States. As you've probably noticed, he mainly plays heavy music with heavy amps and pointy guitars. He's also a Jackson artist, and most of his guitars there are pointy as well. So what's up with this Eclipse though?
Hey everybody, Gus G here, and today I'm gonna be talking about this guitar right here, which is my signature model from ESP. Most people have seen me with those pointy guitars, the random stars. This one is an Eclipse, more or less Paul shaped guitar. I call it the rock art guitar. And the reason for that is it's obviously the graphic, which was created by a good friend of mine in Sweden, Mr. Patrick Oleus, who is also a famous director. But he and another guy called Bjorn Johansson, they got into making art, and they created this painting. And when I saw that, I said to Patrick, dude, how about putting that on a guitar? So he loved the idea. He sent me back some mock-ups of variations of their paintings, and as you can see, it's like all over the body and the neck. And yeah, ESP made it happen.
Back in 2011, Gus G was chosen by the man himself, the King of Darkness, Ozzy Osbourne, to play alongside him. Obviously, that was a huge honor for Gus, and he had to play the part properly.
Now the reason why I switched from, well, I didn't switch, but I had the random stars, but I wanted to create an Eclipse guitar or a Les Paul type of guitar. The reason why we did that was actually when I joined Ozzy's band. Ozzy said to me, do you like Les Pauls? Do you play any of those? And I said, actually, no, I don't. I always had all these weird shaped guitars. And that gave me an idea. I mean, I started considering this idea since you know, if you think back on Ozzy's history as a solo artist and the guitar players that have been in that band, they all had most of them, I mean, Randy played a Les Paul, Zach had his Bullseye Les Paul. So I thought it would be cool to come up with a Les Paul shaped guitar as well, but I didn't want obviously to do you know, the usual type of sunburst color or whatever. And it just right so happened that Patrick had that painting, and we were able to dress the guitar with that graphic. That is the story about behind the creation of this guitar.
Now we have the answer to the why. Because of joining Ozzy Osbourne on stage. We have the when, around 2011. Finding the rock art Eclipse in ESP's official 2011 archives should be a breeze, right? Wrong. Here are the artist pages for 2011, and in his page we only find the LTD GUS 600 EC. And unfortunately the confusion doesn't end there. Looking at the specs, obviously they are not the same as the ESP. We have different hardware, Tone Pro, ESP locking tuners, we still have the Seymour Duncan blackouts, the kill switch, but what's that? Coil split mini switch, where is it? So that's probably a mistake by the people who filled in the specs. I've seen one in the wild in the ESP LTD group in Facebook. This one belongs to a user named Julian. I see that he switched to the passive pickups and plays Black Star amps as well. Okay, back to the matters at hand. The ESP is nowhere to be seen in the 2011 website. Maybe it's in the 2015 website. That's an educated guess because I've seen him use the rock art guitar in his 2015 solo projects. It's nowhere to be seen though. Just a couple of blackout Eclipses that I have to check out eventually as well. I couldn't find it in ESP's official worldwide catalog, so I have to do some digging and open up the 2011 export catalog. Sure enough, here it is, but as you can see, Gus is holding his pointy guitars. Finding it didn't give me any answers though, just more questions. Look at the specs. We have the scale length 25.5 and 24 frets. I think that's just a small mistake though, it's a 22 fret guitar as he said. So I kept digging until I found this, the 2011 Japanese market catalog. And here it is, in all its glory, the black back Gus G signature Eclipse. So this guitar was probably marketed more for the Japanese market, and alongside it there's also an Edwards version. That would explain why I couldn't find it in ESP's official website, but there's another, there's the Japanese website, and here it is for 2011. The artist page to be exact, and look at all these Japanese artists. I'm not gonna say anything, you'll see the contrast with the American artists. I'm just gonna say that, ooh, cool stuff here. Okay, I'm just gonna shut up. Oh, look at this guy, this is my spirit animal. Who's that? This is M. Sakurai, and he has a dragon on his bass. He's so cool, man. The Japanese scene is just something else entirely. It's crazy and they're amazing artists. But look at the contrast with the American guys. We got the usual Hetfield, George Lynch, and here's our guy Gus G. And finally, the guitar listed in ESP's website. He's credited for being part of Ozzy Osbourne and Firewind back then. And here are the official specs. A hard maple top with a mahogany body, 3 pieces hard maple neck, rosewood fingerboard with 22 frets and Gus Fire inlays, Goto hardware Seymour Duncan pickups, rock art graphic top and black back. And an important spec, the price, which converts to around $4,000 back in 2011, which leads me to believe that this might be actually a custom shop model. Because 4K is a bit steep for standard series guitars, especially in 2011. Some more cool stuff from Gus G, and we have an affordable Japanese version here by Edwards as well. It is the EGG150MA. It retailed for $1,000 for the Japanese market back then. And honestly, for a quarter of the price of the custom shop instrument, it has amazing specs. Looks like a great guitar. I've reviewed a lot of Edwards guitars from that era and I wanna check this one out as well.
You know, it's available obviously as a custom shop. This one is made in Japan. It's a custom shop made in Japan. But there's also an LTD available, 600 LTD, with a more affordable price obviously, which still plays great, and I have a bunch of those and they're great.
And he did use this particular ESP for his solo project, as we can see in his I Am the Fire video. However, he is using the custom shop version, and I managed to track a photo of this as well. Here's the custom shop gallery for 2011's ESP website. All sorts of crazy stuff like the M2 skull, the Wagner C1, this beautiful and simplistic Eclipse Hasty. Last but not least, the Gus G custom shop Eclipse with the art wrapped around it. not only the top and the back, but the sides as well. It also features the 9-volt battery compartment, and I noticed that this board looks a bit darker. It's probably ebony. I'm not sure if it's Gus G's personal guitar because he had this with him ever since 2011, and that's obviously the 2015 gallery, so it might be a customer order.
Now, when it comes to the specs, the neck actually is, we kept it pretty much the same as my Random Stars, which is a 25.5 scale length neck, rosewood fingerboard, 22 frets, the flame inlays, Seymour Duncan blackouts, pickups, excellent pickups. They're active. Stop tail bridge, as all my guitars. 3-way toggle switch, one volume knob here. I could never really deal with all the tone knobs, even though I grew up on a Strat, but I never really used them, so I decided to just keep it simple, just one volume knob. And I have this little kill switch here, so you can do effect on and off. And yeah, that's it.
So even though the rock art Eclipse was kind of born from a necessity, Gus G managed to make it his own anyway. It's not only the cool art on it, the specs make this guitar so much different than all of the Eclipses that I've owned and tried. The only thing I didn't like about this guitar, and it's a personal preference, the Seymour Duncan pickups. I had a hard time adjusting them to my VH4 Diezel amp. I had no issues with the Eclipse body though. I'm used to those, the belly cutaway in the back, the new style of the cutaway in front after the lawsuit. However, there are some significant changes, like the position of the single volume knob and the kill switch. This shape of the body suggests the 3-knob configuration, not the 4-knob pre-lawsuit. But even if you compare it to the 3-knob guitars, you will find that the bridge spacing and the scale length make this one feel way different. Same, but different. It's a shame though that they couldn't include the graphics on the side and the back for this guitar as well. Especially if you consider the price of $4,000, which is custom shop money. And we have recent examples like James Hetfield's Camo Snakebite. They can definitely do this. But I think ESP was confused about what to do with this particular guitar. First of all, as you already saw, Gus himself said that he's not a fan of the Eclipse body. He had to make one because he joined Aussie. He's a fan of the pointy guitars. With that in mind, you can guess that not a lot of fans will associate him with an Eclipse guitar. So does it even make sense to mass produce it? Probably not as a full-blown custom shop model, which would have been even more expensive with the graphics in the back and the sides. So if you think about it, they did the rational thing. They've produced the LTD model worldwide, and they did the ESP and the Edwards for the Japanese market and limited export. That's probably why we don't see these too often in Facebook groups and videos. Which is a shame, because this guitar is truly unique. It's an Eclipse with an extended scale 25.5 inches instead of the 24.75 typical for the ESP Eclipse. So it's longer scale, unique placement of the controls, unique art in the front. And there's also the matter of accessibility for the higher frets. Usually Eclipses feature the set neck construction with the heel glued next to the body, but this one has the set through neck construction, making it extremely comfortable for lead playing, something that should be a priority to a lead player like Gus G. In my books, that is a win, because ESP were producing a model specifically tailored for the artist. They didn't care what the people will think about it. Well, they did play it a bit safe with the price and not including the art on the back, so they can distribute it easier, but nevertheless it's an amazing guitar and it's rare. Also, as I have recently demonstrated with other ESP guitars from that period, 2011, I think the company was having a hard time keeping consistent some specs, materials and colors of hardware. So it was not the best time to experiment, but we have this guitar anyway. And I'm gonna start this demonstration by reminding you something about locking tuners. These are Spursell's back locking, one of my favorites, and I have to remind you that you don't need to wrap the string around the pegs. In fact, I strongly advise you don't do it, especially on the low strings, because the tuning pegs are short, and when you rub the string you get rub over rub, and that affects tuning stability and the tuners are not properly rotating. I am gonna demonstrate later in the video how to properly do this. For now, just remember you don't have to rub the strings around the tuning head. In fact, you know what, I can show you right away because I have another guitar with the Sperzo backlocking tuners, and it is the ESP James Hetfield Iron Cross. This is how your tuners are supposed to look with the strings going through them, and I'm gonna show you exactly how to do it later in the video. And to make it even more interesting, I have a pre-lawsuit full thickness Eclipse over there that I'm gonna compare to both of these guitars. Also, I've noticed that the Sperzo tuners are loose, so I'm gonna have to tighten this, and I'm gonna have to polish the frets and also oil the fingerboard. I'm gonna tighten them with the 7/16 side of this Music Nomad multi-tool. They are tightened, but they still have some wobble. I think it's because of the pin design of the back of the tuners. Music Nomad F1 fingerboard oil for the rosewood as usual, and fine fret polish. And I've already applied the oil. Allow me to run you through the specs. We have a mahogany body, hard maple top, 3 pieces maple neck with a volute, rosewood fingerboard with the flame inlays, 22 extra jumbo frets. I've counted them, believe me. I think that's 12-inch radius, Sperzo tuners, a set of Seymour Duncan blackouts, go-to hardware, kill switch, 3-way pickup selector. Business as usual for ESP in the pickup cavities. We have shielding paint, the ground wire, and the plugs for the quick connect. But this is the first time I'm seeing ESP being a bit sloppy. That leads me to believe that this might not be an actual custom shop instrument, even though the price is high. Just look at the glue from the neck joint and the fingerboard. It's sticking out like this. It's hidden by the pickup ring, but still I can see it. Some more inconsistencies here, paint over the finish. Usually ESP customs are flawless, even in places that you cannot see. Well, I guess no one is perfect, they're people after all, so these are minor problems. I wouldn't even call them problems. Here's the routing for the cables. Since this is a 2011 guitar, even though it has the quick connect in the front, I'm assuming solder on in the back. And here's something cool I found in Gus G's personal Facebook profile. He swapped the pickups in 2012. I think that's the Seymour Duncan Gus G Fire Blackout system, which came out in late 2011 as well. Would have been cool if the guitar actually featured those, but I think the timing was a bit off between both releases. I'm curious to try these out. They're supposed to combine both active and passive pickups with active preamp. This signature though features the regular Seymour Duncan Blackout set, which was made in mid 2011. A lower black slanted pickup ring for the neck, and here is the bridge pickup, Seymour Duncan Blackout again, made in mid 2011, designated AHB1B, a taller black slanted pickup ring, and the screws for those look like that. Before I measure the pickups, let's discuss the unique placement of the controls for this guitar. We have the traditional 3-way switch, a single volume knob, and a Q switch over here, which is nothing like the traditional position of the controls for the pre-lawsuit Eclipses, for example. We have the Gibson placement on the volume and tone knobs and the 3-way switch. Later ESP Eclipses switched to the 3-knob layout for the controls. The single volume knob position of the Gus G guitar resembles the Eclipse 2 with the 3-knob layout. Here's an example, and if I'm not mistaken, the first knob near the pickup ring is the bridge volume. It's different to my Iron Cross as well, even though James replaced one of the volume knobs with a 3-way switch and uses this one as a kill switch. You see the volume knob position on the Gus G is so much closer to the bridge pickup, allowing for easy volume swells and fast volume down. Check out how far away the volume knobs are from the pickup ring here. This is the modern placement for lead guitarists. Both bridges positioned perfectly on top of each other. You see the longer scale on the Gus G. It's a little over half an inch, but it makes a difference. That's what she said. And while these two are on top of each other, we can see the difference in the colorway between the pre-lawsuit Eclipse with the 4 knobs and the new one. You see how much more pronounced it is with the old one? And here's, for example, the Iron Cross, which even though it has a 4-knob configuration, matches the colorway, unlike this one, the pre-lawsuit. Measuring the blackout set, which is extremely hot, gives me familiar numbers. Around 21k ohms for both pickups. Middle position, still hot at around 19, and the kill switch stops the signal. Sadly, I couldn't find a photo of the original painting to see how they matched it to the top of this guitar, but as you probably noticed from the videos, this guitar used to be much whiter in color. The poly finish got yellower, unlike my Iron Cross. But other guitars from that same era got yellow, like the Snakebite and the Flying V that I've just reviewed. I don't mind it for this particular guitar. It only clashes with the purple, but it looks like an old newspaper or old paper. I like it on the headstock as well. I think it's a pretty cool finish. Other than that, it is a curved top, has multiply binding, and unlike Gus G's own personal custom shop instrument, this doesn't feature the graphics in the back and sides. The bridge and the tailpiece are Goto made in Japan, unlike the LTD, which has a Tone Pro. These are probably metric, and this is a substantial bridge. It weighs, yep, 54 grams, that's heavy. The tailpiece is gunmetal Goto made in Japan as well, and I'm assuming that this weighs around 70 grams. Wow, heavier. Actually the heaviest that I've documented. And these are the struts for the bridge. They're thumb wheel and flathead screwdriver adjustable. They go in the body with metal inserts. This signature features a 3-piece maple neck with a set-through neck construction and black finish for the back. What makes it so special is that it has longer scale length than the rest of the Eclipses, which have 24.75 inch scale. This has 25.5. What's surprising is that even though it has a longer scale, it's still 22 frets. The people that made the brochure got confused as well. Let's see. White binding that is starting to get yellow like the top finish. Black side dots, and those 22 frets are extra jumbo. Rosewood fingerboard, unlike most of Eclipses with ebony. These are Gus G's personal preferences, like the inlays. Remember, I am the fire. The guy likes fire. These look like plastic. They're definitely not mother of pearl, but they're okay. I especially like this thin black nut. The headstock is the ESP waving flag, like these two. Multiply binding for it as well, and the beautiful rock art graphic. And what's interesting is that a bullet went right through the headstock and here for the truss rod cavity. What I would have liked is, instead of this waving flag cover for the truss rod, we would have the bullet truss rod cover. Makes more sense, right? Anyway, the Gus G signature and ESP logo. Here's a better look at that headstock. Black sides and back Spurzel tuners, and here's what the two-way truss rod cavity looks like. The 2-ply waving flag truss rod cover still has the protective film on it. I'm gonna have the honors of removing it, and this is what it looks like. It's much more shinier. The nut is 42.7mm wide or 1.68 inch. The 5th fret is at 47.4mm or 1.86 inch. The 12th fret is at 52.7mm or 2.04 inches. Thickness at the 1st fret 20.5mm or 0.80 inch. Thickness at the 5th fret 21.1mm or 0.83 inch. Thickness at the 12th fret 22.7mm or 0.89 inch. It's relatively thin. The body is 43.4mm thick or 1.70 inch. It is a curved top though, it has cutaways in the back, so keep that in mind. I wanted to compare the pickup spacing to the regular models since this is a longer scale. 2.29 inches, 2.27, a bit shorter, but I think we're gonna find a bigger distance here with the bridge. 32mm versus 26, yeah. That's why it feels weird when I palm mute. 12-inch radius and 25.5 inch scale length, which makes this Eclipse feel different than the rest that I have. This is a longer scale to match his other guitars. Again, I'm surprised that it has 22 frets, but that's how he likes it, I guess. So it's truly unique. Longer scale, but still has 22 frets. Here's what the neck profile looks like. Thin U, slightly more rounded off for the 1st fret where the volute is. I'm gonna set this guitar in E flat with regular Slinky Ernie balls. And I'm gonna put some tune it paste on the nut. I've put on the new strings in under 5 minutes. You just have to make sure that they go straight to the bridge. Then you angle the hole for the tuner facing the nut, like that. Tighten from the back and rotate at around 90 degrees. Nothing more. Later you just tune. Do not wrap the string around the tuning head. Later I'm gonna cut them when I adjust the truss rod and the string heights. This way, if there's something wrong when I do the setup, I can easily remove the strings and put them back on again. Here's what the strings should look like when the guitar is in tune with the locking tuners. None of them wrap around the tuning head, they're just like that. Back of the guitar is gloss black and it's highly reflective. In fact, it's showing my peely bone Lego, which is pretty cool. Let's not get distracted here. We have the 3-way switch hole. We have a belly cutaway, which is pretty deep. And this is the compartment for the electronics. This is right around the time where they started using the battery tray. I'm gonna show it to you in a second. This is set-through neck construction. They call it set neck, output jack, and strap buttons here. Now check out the neck heel for the set neck of the Iron Cross. This is how they usually do it. Now check out the Gus G. It's much more comfortable for high fret access. Also, this is the 9-volt battery tray that they started using later on. Here's the single volume knob for the active pickups and the 2-way kill switch. These are sold in shops. And here's the routing for the cables that goes to the pickups. And this is the ground wire. All ESP guitars feature shielding paint back here, so I'm not gonna be able to see the maple top. This is the 9-volt battery. The cover for the electronics still has the protective film and shielding on the backside. I'm not gonna remove this because it makes it extremely hard to focus on the guitar when I'm filming the beauty shots. This is the cover for the 3-way switch, shielding on the backside as well. I cannot stress but enough how comfortable is this high fret access due to the set-through neck construction. Gus is a lead guitar player as well, so high fret access is crucial. I just love it how he made the Eclipse his own with these touches in the specs. This is supposed to be a 3-piece maple neck. I cannot see it because of the black paint. Another big difference with the other Eclipses which have single-piece mahogany necks. I always love a volute on a neck. ESP Signature series on the headstock, made in Japan. And unlike my 14 Iron Cross which has the K serial number, this has the SS, which a lot of people believe that it means standard series, but I beg to differ with that price tag. This is a bit confusing because it feels like a custom shop instrument and it should be. It could also mean signature series. There's been a lot of debates on this matter throughout the years. Has some flaws in the neck pickup cavities as I showed you, but the price tag of $4,000 in 2011 points to a custom shop instrument. I'm not gonna say that with absolute certainty, but pure logic dictates it. If anybody from the ESP Facebook group has more info on this one, let me know. Just your typical ESP Eclipse case. I would have loved the graphics on the top, but no, we have 3 latches which corroded a bit, which would show us why this guitar has started to yellow so fast. I think my friend kept this near his spa center. He has jacuzzis, saunas in his house. Maybe that's why the guitar got yellow faster. Nothing unusual on the inside. We have the gray lining with the shape of the Eclipse. The accessories pocket in which I'm gonna put a spare set of Ernie Ball regular slinkies. Here's how the guitar fits in the case. A perfect fit, of course, and this is the certificate of authenticity. A model Gus G Eclipse rock art. And as I discussed in my Kirk Hammett signature models for 2011, which a lot of people debated are standard series, this has the same signature for the production manager that the custom shop has. And a cool date for it, July 11th, 2011. So whether this is a custom shop guitar or not, it's an extremely high quality instrument. Now let's weigh 2 of the guitars. It is relatively lightweight for a guitar that has a 3-piece maple neck at 8 pounds. Let's compare it to my Iron Cross that has the mahogany neck. It's heavier but it's thicker. Has more going on, the ebony fingerboards, more pots, the Iron Cross, you get what I mean. Now let's hear the guitar. To be honest, I never really liked the Seymour Duncan Blackout pickups, so I was having a hard time achieving a sound that I enjoy. At this point I decided to tune down to D standard and try different amps. Usually I play through the Diezel VH4, now I've tried the Engel Savage as well. I've lowered the gain on both amps, but this is still a hot set of pickups. It's just the character of the pickups, I guess. They're fizzy like that. You need even less gain to make them sound properly. I've seen a lot of people, including Gus himself, swapping to passive pickups in these Eclipses. My final thoughts about the Gus G signature rock art. I think a lot of people are sleeping on this guitar. Not that it's easy to find anyway. It's not even the fact that it's signature with cool art. It has a couple of truly unique specs for the Eclipse. The minimalistic controls, the scale of the neck. I think this particular guitar might be a gateway for a lot of lead guitar players that like the pointy stuff into the Eclipse world. Sure, there are a lot of baritone guitars by ESP, but I don't think they have the same configuration. Correct me if I'm wrong. So if you like the idea of owning an Eclipse but you never like the 24.75 inch scale length, you can definitely go for this. If you don't like the ebony fingerboards, you can go with this because it has rosewood, which is rare for an Eclipse. At least the metal machines, they're usually ebony fingerboards. It has the high quality Goto hardware, the Spurzell locking tuners, and I cannot stress but enough how comfortable the high fret access is with this set through neck construction. There's something else too, the matter of the value. A lot of people will say that this is a standard series guitar. But as you've seen in the Japanese website, the black bag version used to retail for $4,000 back in 2011. I think this is a custom shop instrument. It's not a custom order like Gus's personal art bag guitar, but this is still a custom shop instrument and has the certificate for it. And if we adjust that price for the current market and the fact that this guitar is extremely rare, it might add up to something like $6,000 or even $7,000. I'm sure that if you look hard enough you can find the affordable Edwards version or the LTD, but still this is the ESP and it's gonna hold in value. If you don't mind that the painting had aged like most of us, the finish got yellow, I think it's even better because it looks like an old newspaper. This is an amazing guitar and I love it. Good luck finding one.